Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to my presentation today. It's just a little bit of information about the Kenya site I visited recently. And for those who are interested on going on the program, you get a sense of what students experience once they are on the program. So here is a map of Kenya. Basically, as you can see, it's a really huge country. And the reason why I show you the map is just to get a sense of when you look at our move away from the coastal area, from Mombasa and all the way to Kisumu, which is around the Lake Victoria borders, which is our base at the moment. Our students travel between Kisumu and Nairobi and eventually go on an excursion to Rwanda and Uganda. So technically, the Kenya program has a comparative angle to it as you get to experience these different locations. The programs at SIT are broken down into different critical global issues. And the critical global issue in the case of Kenya, I would say, is very much around public health generally. And the topic says it all. The topic of the program is urbanization, health, and human rights. And in my presentation, I'll be trying to show you how these subtitles actually merge to a public health issue. Urbanization. The program visits 3 different living standards in Kenya generally. So Kisumu is generally a middle-class society, Semenya is a working class, and Nairobi is a higher class society. So in Kisumu and Nairobi, you get to see the effects of urbanization. Health, generally, the program has a great partnership with the Kenya Medical Research Institute, KEMRI, and it houses the CDC Research Foundation. I have a few pictures to show you around that, but generally what I'm going to say about KEMRI is they carry out a lot of research around forgotten tropical diseases, TB, HIV and AIDS, also a lot of research around animals and generally on public health issues. So here is a TB lab, and again, just giving you a sense of what it looks like. You get to do the tour once you're there. This is an HIV and AIDS lab, if I remember correctly. Here as well, HIV and AIDS, the different levels of research they get to do. And here are microscopes for malaria research. I actually got to look at one of these. I have had malaria a few times myself, but I got to see what it was like to be diagnosed of malaria. And this is a lab, I didn't get to go into this one, but I know it's animal research, the zoonosis. I'm sure those of you in the field will get that better. So that was a little bit on health and on human rights. Once students are able to see these different living standards and communities affected by rapid urbanization, they get to realize that those who are negatively affected by urbanization are the most vulnerable communities, and their health is easily affected by the fact that they live in very poor hygienic conditions. And of course, their human rights are directly affected by their lack of voice in their community and systems. So again, just a picture of what I got to see in Nairobi and in Kisumu. So this was me accompanying the students on one of their excursions to one of the slums in Nairobi. And these are slums in Kisumu. So as you can see, it's pretty much the same picture, and these are people's homes that they actually own, and it's the only option they have. And this community that I just showed you the pictures for in Kisumu actually have a center where people can come to use bathrooms, and they pay to use either the bathrooms for men, women, and they also have a section for kitchens. And upstairs is a conference center. If you get to go on this program in Kenya, you actually visit this community, and you get to have a class. You get to hold a few classes in this center. This is just an example of the livelihood of the people in this community. They very much live on the remnants of the industrial area that is around them. So they do fillet fish, and they take what's left and try to use it for their everyday existence. So these women strip off these fillet remnants from the industries and try to make food out of it or use it for other commodities. This picture that's on screen right now shows you the deep fried skin that really low-income people is what they use for their protein. And if you think about how it's prepared, you can just imagine the long-term health effects of deep-fried food in really old palm oil and what it does to these people generally. But that's all they can afford, considering their conditions. So I'll walk you through the program as a whole. And again, like I said, this is information I'm sharing with you from my conversations with the students on the program presently and from the sites I was able to visit while on the program. So the program starts in Kisumu with a 1-week-long orientation where you get to be told about what to expect in the community, how to comport yourself in the community, and the different things you're going to experience while there. During your time in Kisumu, you get to do lectures, or you get to take classes around urbanization and human rights. And I just showed you the pictures of the women doing the fish thing. That's in Kisumu. And you get to do this in partnership with the Maseno University in Kisumu. They have a campus there. You actually get to interact with the students. Also, you spend a week in Kemri. Again, that's in Kisumu. And actually, we're looking at increasing the time in Kemri because students have experienced the need to spend a little more time in this community because of what is very present. And again, I'll tell you, Kisumu is the hub for a lot of international organizations. They have a lot of expatriate presence. So it's a really beautiful place, first of all. And then after the week in Kemri, which by the time you get on the program, it'll probably be 2 weeks, you go to Semenya, and it's a village stay for 7 days. While here, students come up with public health questions, practice Swahili, and get assistance to translate any questionnaires for their independent study projects if they need to, because here you get a chance to find people who speak the language really well, and you can express what your concerns will be during your ISP period. Muhoroni, you visit here for 1 night on your way to Nairobi. Actually, you fly into Kisumu and then you take a drive through the country all the way back to Nairobi. So there is a sugarcane plantation here and you get to spend the night there. In Kericho, you visit the tea factory. You see the tea plantations and you actually see how they process this tea in Kenya. You spend 2 nights in Kisii. You visit with Tabaka. There is a great deal of urbanization happening in this town, and there is visible upgrade in the economic standards of living as a result of finances being injected into the economy by members of the families living abroad. So this is something that is very, very peculiar about this community. You also get to meet with an advocate who works on human rights issues, especially around female genital mutilation. One other human rights issue being dealt with in Kisii is the fact that the people there are generally violent and hot-tempered. So it's a known issue in this community, thus a lot of human rights abuses are being dealt with. Masai Mara is like the go-to destination for anybody going to Kenya or anywhere around the world. You get to actually see the t-shirts all around Masai Mara, and it's for 2 nights of safari. And you get to visit the Masai families, and students get to stay in guest houses. While in Nairobi, you're going to be there for 17 days. Technically, again, this is probably going to be shortened to be able to spend more time at Kemri in Kisumu. So while in Nairobi, you're introduced to research methods, project proposals are written, internships are figured out, and the last 2 days before departure to Kigali, students verify their contacts for internships and ISPs. So again, this is like your rounding up of your period. So this is pretty much a 3-month summary I have given you. So there is a lot more detail that is not included here, and I'll be happy to talk to you if you have any specific questions after this. But right after Nairobi, you fly into Rwanda, Kigali. And while in Rwanda, again, you get to see a lot around urbanization in Rwanda, as well as the process of the progressive healthcare system. And all of this begins from you looking at the anatomy of the genocide and basically looking at Rwanda before, during, and after the genocide. So you get to get a sense of where Kigali is, or Rwanda in general, considering where they are coming from. So you come back after your visit to Kigali and you do your 1 month of internship or ISP, depending on what you choose to do. And then you get to go to Jinja in Uganda for a brief visit, and then you come back to Kisumu for your roundup and departure back home to the United States for those who come back, because a lot of students end up getting to spend a few extra days. So I got to speak to the students who were on the program, and a few of them had different majors. We had like public policy, international relations, sociology, global studies, chemistry, sociology again, biology. And they're doing different things. The public policy student was studying air quality. That's what she wanted to study for her internship. The international relations student generally just wanted to be abroad and to immerse herself in another culture, as her concentration was Africa and the Middle East. The sociology students came from a different school background and wanted to experience something else as well. So she chose our program. The global studies student chose our program based on her language interests and focus in environment and health. Our chemistry students were pre-med students, so of course interested in pediatric care and all that. So basically you can coin any of these topics or subtopics to your major of interest. Program topics and experience. Topics were, so students said these topics were relatable. They felt like they needed to interact more with the community. Again, reason why we are giving it more time in Kisumu. And then examples of organizations students can intern in. Of course, KEMRI, the CDC Research Foundation area. And then public hospitals, NGOs in the slums like the Kibera. Actually, which is the pictures I showed you about the people in the community in Kisumu who do the fish fries. And then children's homes, FIDA, which takes care of women's legal issues, and then specific ministries like the county government offices in charge of water, health, and human rights. So, homestay experiences, differences, similarities, and what you wish you knew before. So students basically wanted me to convey that you shouldn't expect your homestays to be like your homes back in the US. And they said you need to embody some level of patience, be open, and be conscious of the fact that you will not have much time to yourself. At the same time, they said there's going to be a lot of downtime. So try to bring extra reading material and download your music and books if possible, because you may not have Wi-Fi when you have time to listen to all that. So being able to deal with the uncomfortable situations is actually going to be very helpful. So I asked them more, how do they think they have changed from this experience? And a lot of them said they now go with the flow a lot more. One of them said she came to the program to learn how to practice public health and is learning more about problems in public health and challenges with figuring these solutions. And then another one of them felt like SIT programs made students experience more meaningful experiences compared to other study abroad programs. And she was comparing herself to the American university students whom she got to meet, because when we are in Nairobi, we are actually in the American university premises. And then for Swahili classes, this is actually a quote from one of the teachers who said they have a direct method which is aimed at getting students to speak the language and does not depend on how many semesters you have studied the language, because practicing or speaking a language actually gives you a better sense of the language, and until you do that, you're never certain about how much of the language you know. So basically, this is just a general information session, and I will be happy to get any calls. My direct phone number is 802-258-3263. I hope to hear from you when you get a chance. Thank you, and this is Corinne.